Hide's not confirmed.
Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to the non-Greg Sterlace Show. I am your host, the Pemzon, except only the substitutes.
Streaming into the void.
Into the void. Always into the void. Where else have you got to go, though?
Yes. That's a great song, Into the Void. I love that song.
Actually, at Sugar City, I was telling somebody about the show, and I said it's like cable access, and like it's hard to find on YouTube and probably hard to find on TV too. And they're like, so you just gotta stream it into the void? I'm like, oh, I really like that. I'm gonna use that.
A lot of people watch it on the West Coast. I've heard so many people in Idaho and Oregon and California message me saying, oh, I love the show. It's so good.
Do any of them go like, yeah, that weird one that's occasionally on there?
Yeah, I don't think so.
That she.
I think it's just, all the Crookites, Captain Crook people watch it constantly, so... I know there, a lot of Captain Crooks on the East Coast, but for the most part...
They're coming to visit, right?
Yeah, Slade will be here at the end of the month.
And he's going to be on the show?
Well, yeah, he's looking forward to it.
Okay, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Slade
Awesome.
watches the show. He's a regular viewer, and Whitney, and of course Slade's grandma, and he watches it with his niece, and...
Really?
A lot of times.
How old's his niece?
Well, I think he kind of protects her from the less savory parts. She's very little.
We're always savory. What are you talking about?
But, he'll be saying all these filthy things. He's like, hold on, John, I can't talk for a second. And his niece comes in, so I'm pretty sure he'll be saying the most depraved things. And
So
blah,
it's
blah,
just
blah.
his grandma he tortures with it.
His grandma, he does some strange things with his grandma. Hey, John, this is my grandma's dildo, isn't it great? And I'm like, oh, thanks. She's like, Slade, what are you showing them? And I'm like, and it's not even what it is. But he's like, why, Grandma? You showed it to me. This is your bong, too. You never show this to anybody else. And I'm like, what? And it wasn't any of those things, but he just was like fucking with her.
Aw,
That's mean.
that's mean. Yeah,
That's
mean.
elder abuse.
Elder abuse. I hope she gave him a spanking.
Well, she was just like, oh, Slade, you're always doing that to people. And he's like, oh, whatever.
So wait, I know that both of you do deliveries for a living. So you were saying you had some ridiculous deliveries.
Okay, yeah. John, do you want to go first? Mine are probably pretty bad.
I just want to
not
give
good.
that people get so confused by the name John. I'll call and order something so it's ready when I get there, and they'll be like, "Who's it for?" And I'm like, "John." They're like, "What? How do you spell that?" John, John. Hold on, I need to write this down. This happened at least twice, and now it's just happened with the pizza. Somebody went over there, and it was for Don, and then before it was Joanne. And then
Oh, we should shave your beard and give you a makeover and call you Joanne.
yeah, and it's just like sometimes they'll figure out eventually that it's John, but they'll be like, "What? How the hell? It's one syllable. Come on!" It's like I just think it's very funny, and a lot of times I'll just get deliveries where I just have to go like around to like 2 houses over. I had to take 7-Eleven 2 houses over, somebody's ice cream. I had to take somebody's nachos from 7-Eleven across the street. Today I had to take Burger King across the street.
Okay.
That's very weird.
That is weird. So, mine are more like Postmates is largely bike-based, and somebody on Grant, like right on Grant, right next to where that McDonald's is right there,
Yeah.
will order McDonald's from the McDonald's on Main Street.
They do that all the time. I know.
And I'll be like, oh my god!
Why? I know. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? I had to order Five Guys today. There was one right there's one right in the Galleria Mall. I had to take it all the way from here, the one in North Buffalo, all the way over there, and they pay more for that.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, like, if you have to wait for shit, or things,
Stuff.
at least for Postmates, the longer you have to wait for the food to be ready, like, that's cutting into your possible delivery time, so they give you more money. But
Yeah.
not a lot.
Yeah, not a lot. Which makes it annoying. That's why I've learned to call ahead if it's a place where you have to order and pay, and I'll just pick it up when I get there.
Yeah, yeah, I had that. And the McDonald's, I went to the Main Street McDonald's, and there was a cop in there, and he was refusing to let more than 3 teenagers in at a time. and being super. And he yelled at me about my bike and said there was some sort of health code violation, and I'm like, there's nowhere to lock it up. And he's like, well, you can't bring it in. And
Oh, really?
Like,
You
in
Rode
the
through
vestibule.
drive-thru.
Yeah, and then these teenagers took like 15 minutes to figure out what they wanted to order. And one of them, once they figured out what they had ordered, they didn't have enough money, and I had to give them 9 cents.
No. Oh no.
And I finally order, and I get it there, and I get it to Grant, and I'm like, and it was like that warm day, and I had already, so I huffed it over there, and this guy's like, just comes out of his apartment, like stereotypical kind of like, not in a bad way, but like neckbeardy kind of nerdy guy.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, cool, thanks. It's a good day for a bike ride. I just been riding up and down the trails. I'm like, it's been a slow day for me, and I've been having to go back and forth between the east and the west side. And he's like, that sounds terrible. I'm like, that's not great.
Oh no. Where have you had the most deliveries for so far?
You know, Kenmore does pretty well, but the problem is that sub shop that's right downtown in the main part of Kenmore.
Yes.
Somebody ordered a sub from there, and they lived next to Canisius College, so it took me 20 minutes to get it back there during rush hour.
Wow.
On Niagara. It was terrifying.
Yeah, it sounds
I
terrifying.
probably get the most deliveries for either the Apple Store or Rachel's. That's where I get the most from.
The Apple Store is so weird.
I get a lot of Apple Store deliveries. It's very strange.
Which ones do you do?
He does the same as you.
Oh, okay. I've only ever had food deliveries so far.
I've had a couple for like people send me to the drugstore and stuff. I picked up somebody's watch from a watch repair place.
I would think it would be delightful if somebody was like put in an order for me to pick something up for them from Adult Mart. That would be
You get those though.
wonderful.
You get those. I've seen people in the if you go in the forums on the app, people talk about a lot. You get those.
That's pretty shameless to somebody.
So
Bring me my porn.
Well, I was
summon
thinking more
you.
like sex toys, but you know, like
Bring
somebody.
my sex toys.
It's not as shameful, I feel like, because porn you buy at a porn store is usually the worst porn.
You ever notice you always find porn like way in the woods behind like a taco place? It's always in like behind some and it's always the grossest porn. It's
Well,
always
you know why?
why?
It's 'cause teenagers.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Teenagers in their porn.
Mhm.
But now the internet has made porn,
Yeah, I totally definitely
accessible for all.
I totally definitely locked up my parents' really zippy 200 megahertz Dell once and had to power it off manually right as they were coming in the driveway looking at porn, and then I didn't have time to clear the history. So
I used to always draw like sexy Betty and Veronica, and like hope like no one would like see me drawing sexy Betty and Veronica.
I'm sorry, that's very funny.
but yeah, no, I like
Now's
doing
maybe
that.
not the time to tell John there's a CW show with an actual physical sexy Betty and Veronica.
Yeah, that's dumb.
It started out kind of fun actually, but then it didn't become dumb. Yeah.
Isn't there some new CW sci-fi show too? I think
Is there?
I think so. Maybe it's horror. I'm not sure. Oh no, wait, it's horror. It's 2-minute horror stories. I thought a couple of them were okay, but
Okay.
they seemed kind of lifetimey.
Oh.
You know.
CW's best shows: Supernatural, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
I
Oh,
love
and
that
then
show.
there
That's
was
my
this
favorite
one
show.
where this kid found out he'd been sold to Satan, and he was like trying to get out of the deal. That one was actually very good, and I don't remember the name of it.
Oh,
If
that's
anybody
so
remembers,
bad.
call up
You
and
know-
please tell. Call up and please tell
Well,
me.
wasn't
because I
Buffy
don't
on
remember.
CW?
Well, you know.
Buffy was on CW for a while, so there you go. That's the very best CW ever had. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you haven't watched it because it's amazing.
Didn't CW used to be UPN?
I think
There was UPN, there was WB as well.
Yeah, but UPN like it was weird because it was like Star Trek, and then like sitcoms.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's probably the 100's also on CW.
that's
Oh,
a great
yeah.
show.
Yeah.
well, see, I think that show you were just talking about, the kid who was trying to get out of the deal with Satan.
Yeah.
Like if they had a crossover between that and the animated Star Trek series, he wouldn't have to worry about it because in that he's not a bad guy. He's just got a bad rap.
The animated, like the 70s one?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, Satan's in one episode, and he's just this guy who like
Oh, I
has
do
a bad
remember
rap.
that. Yeah, I do.
He's actually really sweet, but everybody's like a jerk to him.
I wish I could remember what that show was called. The kids worked in like a Home Depot type of place.
I like the one
It
where
was
they're
a
going
good
to the
show.
planet Cannabis Balopus or something.
Oh yeah, that was great. That was one of the first shows we watched together. That was a great show.
We did watch that together, yes.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I like that show.
Was Buffy the second one I got you hooked on?
Well, yeah, we kind of meandered from there, and we didn't really know what to watch. And then eventually we got on Buffy. For a while, we were going between Terminator and...
Oh, that one's so weird.
I love the
that
Terminator.
I know, I
show.
like it too,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
is.
just so like...
It's great. It's so dark.
It's so dark.
Yeah,
Dark.
sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it's like, all right.
And you never know if like the Summer Glau character is like screwing with him, or
Yes.
if she actually like...
Oh, like the time when she stands by the door, she takes her clothes off.
Uh-huh.
And she's got like
Oh, I
a underwear and
forgot about
tank
that.
top. And she goes in there and she lies in bed with him, but she's a fucking robot, right?
Right, yeah.
She's just like, oh, I
Well, she
gotta
seemed
go,
just
what
as
do I do? Oh,
confused
God, oh,
as
God.
him.
Yeah, like she's like...
But, yeah, she's
yeah.
totally like obviously manipulating him. But to what extent does she know she's manipulating?
Right, and to what extent is she not manipulating me? Because she seems confused by the whole situation,
Yeah, I
too.
never would have
Right.
thought
Yeah.
she was manipulating him. I didn't even get that.
No,
Oh, I
she,
thought she was.
she is a psychological mess of a robot.
I'm a sucker for that.
So you
that
you
plot.
start poking around with those neural network chips to keep them from killing you,
Yeah.
and you might get some other kinds of crazy.
Yeah.
I wish I knew how to draw robots.
If you haven't seen that show, watch that show as well. Sarah Connor Chronicles.
I know
Terminator.
that's how
It's so
neural
good.
networks
I know I've
work.
said it before,
That's
but,
that's a really great
I guess you
show.
could
That's,
but I will say it
FPGA.
again because it's really good.
that one and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and
I
Buffy are
remember
my
some of the
favorite
Buffys,
shows.
you'd be like,
Well,
after
they're
the shows because they'd shock you so much.
well, they're good. That's what it's like my favorite show. That's
Except
my
the
favorite
upsetting one about the.
show. That one's bad.
I won't. I'm sorry.
I-
That one,
Sorry about
well, that was very bad timing.
You got very upset. You couldn't even talk for the rest of the night. It is very hard to watch. It's true.
I have a shameful thing to admit.
Yes.
I actually like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie.
I've never seen it.
I've seen it. I mean,
I particularly like when she kills the vampire who's played by the guy who played Pee Wee Herman. That's the best part, pretty much.
yeah, he was. Yeah, that didn't go the way he wanted, so he made Buffy. Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna take this back. I'm taking back my idea.
Is it even like related to the show at all?
Not really, no. It's kind of like the difference between like the Starship Troopers movies, the Starship Troopers books, and the Starship Troopers kids cartoon, which is they're all really like cult of fascism. They weren't meant to be. They were
I've
meant to
never
be a
even heard of
critique
that.
on them, but
Yeah.
I never even heard of that.
Well, it's like the Wizard of Oz book versus the movie as well.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I've
Those
always
are very
wanted to read that
different.
book. My sister always loved it.
I mean, I'd read some of the other ones. They're all real trippy and strange.
That guy was from around here, right? Like you can go to the I used to go to it as a kid where you went to the place where they have like the yellow brick road where you could walk on it in a celebration of that guy's birthday and stuff.
I don't think he's. I mean, not.
You know,
Look it up, it's
like
called
if you
the-
want the farthest removed, you go for the Wizard of Oz JRPG for the for the DS. That's nothing like that
Yeah,
either.
you're getting. But I know somebody who was. I thought it was
His
him.
name was Lyman. That's the name that should come back.
At least at one point
I
he
want to
lived
see some kids named
somewhere.
Lyman. Hey, bitches out in there in the world, name your kid Lyman. Because that's awesome.
No, I actually like that name.
It is awesome. Freaking Devons and
This-
whatever's.
This
Lyman.
woman, I'm kind of like, I don't know, trying to make friends with and stuff, and we're kind of hanging out and stuff. She has two kids,
that's
and
it.
her kids are named
Shitnago.
after like Norse gods or something.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I've known a couple people named after that, but they're always just like weird, like Odin worshippers.
It's not. It's like kind of right in the middle of the state.
Yeah, I know it's not really
Shitnago.
close, but I know I used to go there as a kid for the festival. It's really fun. I just looked it up not that long ago because I wanted to see how far it was, but it was. It's a really fun festival.
I'm not actually sure, but they're that kind of name. I'm not actually sure what they're after because
What
I
they're-
can't remember
yeah.
them now.
Are
They
you-
were very, very hyper at at the Sugar City thing.
Oh, yeah?
I felt bad for her. I was exhausted.
That's how kids roll.
Hey,
Not all
John there.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you know that $5 you owed me that you just paid me back?
No. But.
Oh, yeah, you paid me back in those like Super Mario coins.
Oh yeah.
The dollar.
Yeah. Doll hairs.
Reach into my pouch.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Whoa.
What the hell is this?
Damn, Dudley. I didn't know you had Chuck E. Cheese tokens in here.
Yeah, that was one of the dollars you gave me. I don't think that's legal tender.
Well, it's got a mouse on it.
I'm mostly
He's a
curious.
Sorry.
I'm mostly curious if like contactless pay and like those like Venmo and like PayPal work in the space pouch.
Yeah.
Don't you like Chuck E. Cheese? Dudley,
No, there's
What's the
giant
E
rat.
stand for?
They're giant rat.
Listen, the only good thing I ever thought was good about Chuck E. Cheese was that they had the Mario Kart arcade games, but the hardware that runs on them is very similar to a GameCube, which means that if you can find the data, you can just run it on a Wii, so I don't really know. Chuck E. Cheese pizza is gross.
It is gross.
I have never been in a Chuck E. Cheese.
Or a DZ Fun Zone. Those were actually really fun, even though the
never
ball
been in
pit
one of
smelled like
those.
pee.
I like Major Magic.
Oh, never been to Major Magic. Don't know. I don't know.
Do you remember like that like boom in the 90s of like indoor sort of like amusement park things that had
yes.
like VR and like bumper cars and stuff?
Yes, I do.
I could never afford the VR because it was like $20.
I don't think I ever did it.
It was like really bad graphics that ran off of actually Amigas.
I always thought bumper cars were so fun.
I love bumper cars. They are
Yeah.
fun.
They had these bumper cars that steered like tanks and they were
Oh.
round.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was like being an air hockey puck.
That's very cool.
So John, what tapes you got there?
Oh, I just looking for whatever weird things I have in my collection. There's some pretty crazy ones. Like this one is Dawn is Upon Us, and it's got Dawn for Pokemon on the cover. And then I've got
That's upsetting.
Thanks for the Cancer, and it's got Ekans on it. Then I've got this really weird one called Radio Gujarat. It's this very strange tape I found with weird radio Indian programs.
Woo,
Oh!
woo, woo. Cool.
Oh, that sounds fun.
I want to digitize it.
Sounds fun.
And then I have this one with this
John's on
strange
stage and he's like,
naked girl on
Take
it
my
killing
tapes.
something, and I don't know. It's just I don't remember what it's called.
Is she
Sounds-
killing something, or does she have a skullgina and a knife? Because that's what it looks like.
Probably. What's
where
that
did
one
you
called?
find these tapes?
Oh, just various places. Slade sends me things. What is this one called? This one's called Watch Me Choke.
You've got to take Slade to the thrift stores around here so he can go through all the crazy tapes.
Definitely.
I used to use them like a primitive sampler, but not really a sampler. I was just playing tapes.
Those are great though. You showed me those.
Well,
those are
you know,
great.
you
They are
could
great
you,
ones.
you could just take random sections out, cut them, and tape them back together with. I think you have to have the right kind of tape, but then just
Yeah.
run it through.
At one point I bought a whole bunch of answering machine tapes, and they're all different lengths, and I did that, and that was very fun. But no, I just kind of let it go. Whatever the tape starts up on is what I have to
I think it would be cool to.
improvise
sorry.
around.
Highly recommended friend of mine, Becca Parks tape. Take one. Sorry.
I think it would be cool to rig something up where I had a bunch of like audio tape and like pickups like on a bike, and as you rode it, it like played it through at different speeds.
Oh,
but it
that'd
was
be
like
cool.
like a bunch of different things.
Also a great guy. I booked his tour in Buffalo. Zach Bryson and his Natural Born Eastman. This is a great bluegrass player. He's
nice.
from northern Washington.
I likes me some good bluegrass.
There's no slackers in bluegrass.
No, he's a really good player. He's
You gotta play. If you don't play, get out.
Zach Bryson's really cool. I set up his tour every time he comes to the East Coast. Slade and the Big Nothing
West
tape.
Coast.
6 years of nothing, but still have this lousy tape. This is one of my favorites. It's got Bert and Psyduck and Pokemon on it.
Oh, I really like this one. It's one of those newfangled invisible tapes. See?
I know. I forgot it in the player.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
There's fancy extra information. It also smells like there's perfume sprayed on that.
Well,
put
I
on
mean, it's
cologne.
in John's possession.
It will
I'm
be
on
good.
this one. May I Always Love You. It's a weird thing I did with Slade.
When we
got
did
made from
CDs, we
Pokemon.
would fill them with like
That makes
glitter,
me
so when people
uncomfortable.
open them, glitter fell all over us. Obviously, we want people to hate us.
What'd you do?
We put glitter in them, or like cut out foil stars and
Well,
yeah,
that
all
makes it
sorts of
fun. I
stuff.
like
Do
when
you
that
think
happens.
your lady
Okay,
friend
that's good.
likes me?
That's good.
Oh, Solemn, hey. Tell your friend May I want to make out with her.
Did he say that?
Yes.
Oh my god!
I don't
I
like-
mean, I'm flattered, but no.
Oh, this
Sorry,
is a
David.
great one. The Sounds of Hell. This is one of my favorites I have. This one Slade made. This is the first Static by Static. And I'm also on this one. This is a...
Can I say something?
Yes.
One of the best tapes I found to play in the back of stuff was called Spooky Sounds for Halloween, and it was orange and black, and you could play it with anything underneath any music, and it sounded amazing. It was so
I love
Incredible.
those. Those are basically like sound, like noise tapes almost.
yeah, but
like
there'd be
those.
like a low like note playing, and then different weird sounds.
hi.
It was so good.
Those are great.
Yeah, I have like a CD version and 2 tape versions.
You gotta... Oh, I think I've seen that.
Ooh, you know what would be really fun?
Huh.
To modify a Walkman or something to play at any speed and in forward and reverse, and then use that tape for stuff. Like rig it up so you could like kind of scratch it.
Oh, well, I had one you could do that with. It was really old, and it was for recording interviews, like when they would hold the tape in front of someone. And you could just kind of put down the forward and reverse button, and it would play stuff at a slow speed either way.
Oh yeah.
It was very cool. But it was also very old, so the belt gave out, and then I got it fixed and, played it for a long time again, and the belt gave out again. So, yeah, that was sad.
That is sad.
Probably I could fix it, but...
This
Yeah.
tape is interesting because it's the only release ever that I have my current stuff, and it's also got my parents' 70s band on it. It's got my parents' band, The Panics, from the late 70s, doing That Was Then, and I'm doing my version of Lonesome Little Raindrop on this. It's very fun.
That's kind of fun.
Yes.
very cool.
My only release with my parents.
Very cool.
The recording studio in the basement of your house kind of feels like Broken Dreams.
Oh. Aww.
Like, no, I feel that way about like
Everything.
all
the world.
dilapidated things. Especially, yeah.
I mean, it's also kind of floody now down there. So
Like John talks about his like sonic archaeology thing. I like the like modern like urban exploring archaeology kind of stuff.
I
That
love
is
that
very
kind
fun.
of stuff. That's great.
I mean,
love-
I have been chased off properties before.
as
but-
have I. As have
Oh,
I.
me too, but that's part of the game. But it's fun. I love watching videos of people just doing it and like going like deep Detroit, just finding something that hasn't been looked at in years, or it's just.
I always
like-
thought that would be a fun TV show back in the day before like Brian Higgins like handed all these freaking jerks, no taxes to build like giant crap everywhere. And
Oh yeah, no, like
So-
those like forgettable prefab like
Yeah.
apartment condo things that are all made of plywood underneath and clad with stone. Doesn't that seem just like the perfect thing to burn because it's basically chimneys? I'm not saying. No, I mean, I'm saying. I'm not saying that. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
like.
No,
I'm
I know
saying
what you're
like if
saying,
it went
yes.
up, it would
Yes.
go up.
Yes.
I had to go to that giant blue
But-
apartment building over on Delaware. You know that one where all the rich
That's
people.
Oh,
very
those one from the
expensive.
'60s. Those are actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
but
very
they're
cool
so
inside.
expensive.
It looks like it hasn't been rent. It looks like they haven't been taking care of the inside though. It looks like dirty inside.
Oh really?
Surprisingly.
Well, I always before
Is that the
Buffalo
one that has
was,
a big cool penthouse on the top?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
like whatever.
You
I
know,
always
if we
thought it'd
all-
be cool to like just go in places and tape it, and then make a TV show of it. But you have to do it anonymously, so you didn't get in trouble. But it would be cool.
Yeah, that's fun. That sounds great.
Okay, break out the black hoodies and the Guy Fawkes masks.
There isn't much left though.
No, there's quite a few things down towards the First Ward and stuff. And sometimes if you're on some of the back streets in the west side or up here
There's a
in the
few.
center in North Buffalo, you go by like some super bougie elementary school for gifted children, and all of a sudden there'll be like an abandoned building in the background.
If you go in that
Yeah.
giant grain mill in the valley, when I used to go in there just for the heck of it, nobody was ever in there, but there's like giant, like, there's like couches and like people where I'm sure they're just doing drugs and partying and stuff. There's giant murals of like artwork and stuff. It's crazy
Wow.
inside.
That sounds really great.
That's really cool in that one. I used to go exploring there like with my mom.
I
and
would
stuff.
really like to get one of those heads-up display, like longer range, like drones, so I could explore things that I can't get to.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because then you're doing it first person. If you got the stereo cameras, you know.
GCC got a drone.
Present
They
Explorer.
were so proud.
They got a drone.
For
Yeah,
what?
They were very proud. I don't know. They got one though.
They're just one? Aren't they not even like? That seems kind of weird.
No, they're not particularly expensive.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're not like crazy expensive.
Especially depending on the kind you get.
Yeah, that Indian tape's really cool. It's just like weird commercials and songs and
I
like.
swear someday I'm gonna catch one of those news drones. I'm gonna catch it. I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, weird. Like, I don't even know. This girl said she just did it while she was just, like, hanging out in India and just kind of taped it.
That's really cool.
That is cool.
When my dad lived up in Rochester, or maybe it was Buffalo in the 70s,
Crazy.
all these stations would, you could get pickup stations from Canada, and because it was more international there, you'd get all these weird, like,
Yeah.
Bollywood
I got
movies
the
and
Indian
stuff,
station
and-
in my car. I used to listen to it. I used to
You
get the
can
French
on the
station.
AM sometimes.
Oh yeah,
still.
well he did it. He got it on TV too, so
Oh,
he'd
okay.
be like watching these fuzzy, like off-color Bollywood
Yeah,
movies. Yeah.
You can still get them. Yeah, we got tons of Canadian stations when it was before the whole digital over-the-air scam happened. Not that I don't love digital over-the-air, but people in the country can't get that crap, so they're screwed.
Yeah,
But,
the whole
it's
the
new.
whole encoding scheme is broken. Doesn't work right for that kind of broadcasting.
Yeah, yes. So, like when it was back in the day and you just got broadcast, oh my God, there was the Tiny Tot Talent Hour that came from Canada. And it was this like little kids talent show.
Dudley,
was
you know
really
things
bad and
about
hilarious.
this. Is the digital over the air? It's MPEG based, correct?
Yeah.
That's like it seems like they use a more efficient codec if they actually wanted people to be able to get it.
Oh, just wait. You're gonna need a new converter box soon. When I
Great,
go to
awesome.
3.0.
And then we're gonna lose a bunch of stations. Will the stations be lost too? Do they have to change things too, or do we not know that?
We
The
need our
censor?
police surgeon. Come
We don't-
on.
I know. We love our police surgeon.
I'm sorry, I have to rest you now.
And it led us to Otherworld, which was amazing.
I love the-
Otherworld is amazingly bad. It's so
Amazingly
good.
bad.
I love the newly discovered Tiny Tim children's show. They thought it was a loss. Now they found that it's so crazy. He looks so afraid of those kids.
He's like, eh.
Because I read about it. I knew it existed, and Tiny Tim, like, he stopped doing it because he was like, children could sneak up behind you, and you don't know what they're holding.
Wow, that's very true.
So,
Well, it's actually Beth went down to visit one of her friends, and her friend has a kid who's like 11 and is pretty destructive, and we both have these like defense things on our keychains. They look like cat heads, but they're kind of like plastic brass knuckles. in
Yes,
case you,
yes, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
and the kid asks what it is, and she goes, "Is it a tiny mask?" And Beth just goes, "Yes," because she didn't want her to know what it was
Jeez.
because
well, when I used
she's a
to
destructive
stay
child.
with
One
Melissa,
time, my little sister found my uncle's nut cup, and I convinced her it was a mask.
Oh my God, my
Ah.
Hold it on
I've
her face.
def-
I was like,
Ew.
look, everybody got a mask.
my
Ew.
sister,
Family
my
got
sister
very
once
upset.
found my stepmom's. Was it a female condom or a diaphragm? I don't remember, but she found it and she opened it, and I was old enough to kind of understand what it was, but not really. And she's like, "Look, a balloon!"
Ah.
I'm like, "No!" And I definitely have said that on this show before.
Yeah,
but,
you were
know.
nicer than me. I was like, yeah, that's a mask, of course.
Well, I was also a big germaphobe, so I was like,
Okay, yes.
God, that's so gross.
I'm sorry.
Well, when I was with Melissa's kids, I remember I woke up and her little girl was like stabbing me with this really this knife thing. It was like a butter knife. She's like, "Why won't it go through?" And I'm like, "Oh my God!"
That's bad. That's real bad.
"That's terrifying."
I never did anything like that.
And I'm like, "It hurt. It was bleeding a little bit." It's like, well, I don't want to be crucified by like a 5-year-old.
That's
Well, at least
bad.
you were asleep while it was happening.
Yeah, well, that's what woke me up.
It's like if you're drunk and a chihuahua eats your toes, it's better than if you were awake and sober and a chihuahua ate your toes.
That's true.
Don't get any ideas, buddy.
He's not full chihuahua. I don't think he'll
No,
eat
he's
toes.
definitely
We don't
not
even know
full
what Pep
chihuahua.
is. He's a mystery.
I definitely think there's some sheep in there.
Because he ignores all commands.
Yeah, that, and he's stubborn, and the amount of barking. Oh, call
Bye-bye.
us.
Bark a ton.
716
Yes, give us a call.
406 7754.
That's the number.
Yes, great success.
Goodbye.
Yes, and,
Success.